Hello, folks. Welcome to Holding On with Holder. This is a show I interview interesting people to discuss interesting topics. My name is Steve Holder, and I am your host. With me today, I have Kimi, who is an adult video creator that sells her videos on several social media profiles. And we'll be talking to her about her background, her videos, and her modeling and thoughts on several topics. Welcome, Kimi. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm glad to have you. So first of all, tell us, summarize who you are. Just give a little,
Give you a little background of
give me
who
a little background. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised a country girl. I always grew up helping around the farm and things like that. So work ethic was always kind of instilled in me. I am a mother. I have four children, two which are grown. One is about to have my first grandchild soon. The other one lives on her own. And then I have two children. I started over in life and I have two children, one that's 10 and one that just turned 6. So I have my people.
So you grew up on a farm, huh?
I did.
Okay. You are a legitimate country girl then.
I am a legitimate country girl. Definitely grew up as a tomboy.
Okay. Okay. You must have gotten over that.
Yeah, I got over that.
Okay.
Still have the mentality, I guess, of you're not going to push me around and I'm going to work hard. But other than that, as far as I guess in school, I guess I was more, could have been kind of like a bully. I
Really?
played sports and, I was just kind of a guy's gal, I guess, to call it. Yeah, I kind of let go of that a little bit and turned a little bit more to the feminine side.
And you say you have four kids?
I do.
And what are their ages?
25, 23, 10, and 6.
Okay. You've got the whole area covered, don't you?
I do. Generations going on.
So, has anybody ever told you that you're not a good mother because you do porn?
No one has ever told me that I'm not a good mother because of the fact that I do porn.
Do you think you're a good mother?
I know I'm a good mother.
Good.
Yeah.
Do your kids think you're a good mother?
My kids do think I'm a good mother.
Then if your kids think so and you think so, then you must be a good mother.
Yeah, I think we do pretty well,
So what convinced you to get into porn?
So the backstory of my porn life that started, it was 2 years ago in September. I, at that time, was a single mom. I had the two youngers. The older two were grown and gone. So I had the two younger ones, and I was working 3 jobs, trying to pay rent, trying to feed them, school supplies, this babysitting. I mean, the whole list goes on and on. And so at one of my jobs that I worked, I ended up having a girl move in with me as a roommate to try to help alleviate with the bills, things like that. So in conversation with her, she said to me one day, "Do you know what you'd be great at?" And I was like, "What?" And she said, "Camming." And I was like, "What is camming?" I had no idea what she was even talking about. So she explained it to me, and just knowing me and through my personality living with her, she's like, "I just really think you'd be good at it." And I was like, "Well, I mean, I'll try it, how much money are we talking? Like what's the actual benefit?" And so I started at that time setting up my profiles, kind of doing research, trying to figure out, what is this camming world? What is it all about? What are the successful women doing? Had to learn a whole lot because, believe it or not, there's a whole array of topics and subjects and niches and kinks and fetishes, if you will, that a lot of people probably don't think about on a daily. And so I did my research and I started building my profiles, and it just so happens I had went full time at a job, gave up the other jobs, and I lost my job. And so I was in panic mode. It was literally on a Thursday and I had to be at work on Monday to do something. I had children to feed, I had rent to pay, bills were still there. So I called up a good friend of mine and I said, "I need to borrow your house and I need to borrow your laptop." And he was like, okay. And so I went to his house. I had one profile set up and I hit the button one day. And that's basically how it started. I started doing live cam shows, clueless as to what was going on, what I was supposed to do, what I wasn't supposed to do. And so that's basically how I got started in the whole industry, was being introduced by someone that knew that it existed.
Would you be okay with your adult kids getting into porn?
Sure.
Yeah. Do they have any desire to?
No, I mean the oldest, married, getting ready to start a family, doing very well. They both got their college degrees. They're on their way. Um, my next one, if she wanted to try it, by all means, try it. Um, I think it's a big industry, a large industry, and there's a demand for it. And even though now that things are online, it's so flooded full of people that you could make a go of it. I don't care what you look like. Well, you can make a go of it. There's somebody out there for everyone. Everyone has a niche, whether they realize it or not.
So are your kids okay with you doing porn?
Yeah,
Okay.
they just said,
That certainly helps.
do what you got to do. My,
Yeah.
my whole premise for telling them was, I didn't want one of their friends happen to stumble across me and be like, I saw your mom on, Pornhub. I felt that was fair to them to say, hey, this is what I'm pursuing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a go of it. And they're like, do what you have to do. Like, you're grown. You can handle it.
Yeah.
I did.
And did you have a good childhood?
I did. I had a great childhood. My stepfather raised me from the time I was 3, so I called him dad. I really didn't know any different. And grew up fishing and swimming in the ponds and working on the farm and doing all kinds of country kid things. And so, yeah, I had a good childhood. I like that lifestyle. Like
How do you think your childhood affects you now, or does it?
um, I think basically all in positive ways. I like the family, you know, family gatherings. I grew up having Sunday dinner every Sunday with my family. I like to sit down to the dinner table. I like the closeness. I like to have the conversation. Um, so all those things positive, tell the people that you love them, and and do your best every day and just try to be a good person. Basically, I think all the positives of my childhood have come out in my adulthood.
Good. And why do you call yourself Kimmy, the MILF mommy?
Right. So I
I
call
say that
myself,
right?
yes, it's Kimmy the MILF mommy. And so MILF is a niche. It stands for Mother I'd Like to F. And so that's why I put the MILF in there, because for me, that was, believe it or not, a marketing strategy. Because, with algorithms and all the things in Google and all the sites that I'm on, if they're looking for the word MILF, I'm going to come up somewhere in their search because that's in my name automatically.
So that's a marketing thing then.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Uh, do you would get any kind of negativity from anybody because of what you do? I mean, anybody that knows you? I mean,
No, I mean, the closest people around me know what I do, and they support me. They're, do what you got to do. And I figure if the day and time ever comes that someone that doesn't know what I do and happens to run across me and discovers me and is shocked and awed, or all the other good things that could come into play with that, my answer will always be, well, you were looking for it. So why are you looking at me because you found me doing it?
yeah.
It's a double standard to me. And so I've just always been one not to really care too much what people think of me, because I know who I am. People around me and the people that I love know who I am. So for me, that's just a no-brainer.
Okay. Okay. And how many videos have you made?
In totality, since I started doing this, when I started out camming, I really didn't get into the video making too much. I did the live camming for about a year, not quite a year, until um, the videos started coming in. And that was basically from expanding myself into platforms that offered video sales or were looking for custom videos. I did start, for example, ManyVids. I did start ManyVids early on when I started live camming, but I never really put too much effort into it because every day I was on camera trying to make today's money to pay tomorrow's bills. Does that make sense? Um, to get to the point where I am now, where I have a little bit more leeway. I don't cam live anymore, although I would like to get back into doing it at least one day a week to give those fans, you know, still what they'd like to see. And but usually I'm spending my days making videos, uploading the content. Whether it's for a custom, and if I do a custom, then I'll do another one, or, you know, one day I might just shoot 6 videos. I try to structure my day so that I, you know, get the most out of it and still be able to produce content and keep up with all the social platforms, pictures, custom pictures, things like that. So
Okay.
it's a business. A lot of people probably wouldn't look at it that way, and there may be some models that don't really structure it that way. But to me, it was most important that I structure it for the long haul because I had a plan the whole time. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to take it to the level that I can take it. So my theory was I want to make money while I'm sleeping at night. And, you know, so far, you know, it's turned out to be a pretty good plan. So hopefully that continues.
So are you in business for yourself? Or is
I
this
am.
your business? You do it alone or you have
I
other
do it
people
alone.
helping?
Yep, I do it alone. I do solo. I I think um, probably the most important part is the structuring and the networking and the um, just making sure you're disciplined because you know you could get lazy easily. You're like, oh well, I don't, you know, I don't have anything to do today. I'll just whatever. I could work on the computer 24/7 if you allow me the opportunity. But you know, there are times to put work down and go do what you have to do and be a mom, which is my first job first and foremost. But structuring it, you know, it takes time, it takes patience, and it definitely takes discipline. Um, yeah, just trying to
Okay.
all together.
What would you say is your biggest challenge in your life so far?
In this industry or
Anything,
just
anything.
overall? Oh, being a mother, making
Okay.
sure my kids are good by far. Yeah, making sure that everybody's good. They're happy, they're healthy, they're, you know, they got a problem, they have an issue, you know, homework, boy problem, whatever the case may be, just make that's number one on my priority. And luckily, the way I've structured myself and I've been able to set myself up to this point, I'm able to have that time, you know, to get them off the school bus, you know, not to be stuck in traffic for an hour, you know, stressed out because of work, because I went to work today and I see the same asshole that I hate and I got to talk to him anyway. You know, I don't have to deal with any of that. So all those stresses are completely gone. I'm the boss. You know, I'm the one that determines if I am successful or if I fail, basically.
Yeah. Now, do you have a husband?
I have a fiance,
Okay. Okay.
ex-husband, but I do have a fiance.
Okay. When's the big day?
Not sure yet. I want to do probably after COVID's over because I would like to do destination wedding. I think I'm a little old to do the whole shebang. I'm good.
Okay. What do you think about the present state of the world? Is that something you think about a lot?
Oh, I sure do. And I have this conversation with my older kids all the time. You know, it's a different time than obviously we've ever seen before. I feel like we're divided. I feel like um, everybody's battling something. But my biggest thing, which can be a blessing and a curse all at the same time, is social media and electronic devices. I think it's great. I think you can have access to anything. You could talk to China in a minute. You know, you and I can talk. I could put something up and reach, 100,000 followers in a click of a button. However, I just think the social element is being taken out. People just are not having conversations or the same conversations, in my opinion, face to face as they are behind their thumbs, so to speak. Um, I don't really know that a lot of things that I read that people are saying to each other that they would say it face to face like that. And that's concerning to me. I feel like we're losing the human touch, so to speak.
Yeah,
And I don't like it. And misunderstandings, and there's no emotion in a text message. You know what I mean? So you could just
unless you use emojis.
exactly, that it's not the same. And we got to have human interaction, and we got to be able to do it civilly. And people are just so far off the grid sometimes. I'm like, I don't understand. Like I understand why, but it's sad to me, because I hope it doesn't continue. I hope we figure out a way to come together, way better.
Do you think it's going to get better anytime soon?
I don't know. I would love to think that it would, but I just think if each individual person takes their own actions, words, takes responsibility for their own stuff, just being a kind human, it's really not that hard. It's just really not that hard, to say something to someone without having to uh, be demeaning or downgrading or call a name or anything like that. It's just not necessary. It's basics of communication are just lost.
Yeah. And there's nothing social about this social distancing. I
No.
think we should call it anti-social distancing.
Yes, anti-social distancing. Let's
Yeah.
do that. Yeah. I'm
We can
good.
talk about racism.
What's that?
Can we talk about racism?
Sure.
Do you think we're getting better at that in the United States, or are we losing ground?
Um, so I think just from my own personal experience, it's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, type. I think it's hard, and I'll tell you why I say this. My oldest is married to a biracial girl, and not having racism at the forefront of your everyday, I think people neglect to see or comprehend or care, whichever the case may be, things they might say, things they might post or repost that might offend or hurt someone, that they love, or someone else that they don't really care about, whatever the case may be. It would offend them or hurt their feelings. Speaking of people of color, I just think if it's not in the forefront of your everyday, I don't really think people think about it. And I don't know where that stems from. Probably maybe the people, the way they were raised, their beliefs, however, whatever. But I think to me, people of color are trying to say to us, those that are white, basically, to the world, actually, they feel pain, and we need to hear it at some point. You have to hear what other people are seeing, feeling. You have to hear it. And if you don't want to hear it and turn a blind eye to it, then because again, it doesn't affect your everyday life, you're not going to hear it. Or the fact that you don't want to hear it. There's several reasons of why you wouldn't hear a person, another human being, It's either because you don't want to, or you're ignorant to the fact, or you don't want to learn, or whatever the case. And that's sad to me because, again, at the end of the day, we all bleed the same color. We're all humans. We're all in the human race. And I don't think we're oversensitive. I just think, voices need to be heard, just like voting, just like, politicians and things of that nature. Voices need to be heard.
So what do you think about white supremacy and white privilege? Think white privilege is a real thing?
Oh, absolutely. I do. I absolutely think it's a thing. Now, I've had several people argue with me, the point, oh, I work for everything, whatever. However, you might have worked for everything, but it's kind of like I explained it like this, and I had to do this with my oldest daughter. I grew up on a farm. My dad grew up on a farm. His dad grew up on a farm. His dad grew up on a farm, and the other dad grew up on a farm. They learned farming. They knew how to grow vegetables and raise pigs and cows and chickens, and they run a farm for generations and passed down. So then you say, I'll use people of color. Ancestors were slaves. Then they had the next generation. Then they had the next generation. They had the next generation. Recipes, family traditions, whatever the case may be, got passed down. Same as the farmer, but in just a different vine, I guess. And for me, I feel like we suppress people of color. I think I've been all around this country. Before I did any of this work, I used to move people for a living, and I rode in a tractor trailer for 10 years. And I've been to every state except Alaska and Hawaii. And I can tell you, most people congregate in a section that they can afford. And, just like people that I moved that were Indian descent, they moved into a neighborhood that were Indian. You know what I mean? I just feel like we've suppressed. I feel like we've said, here, you live in this area, and we don't really care what it looks like, and it's brick buildings, and it's whatever, but you know what I mean? And then, their education's not as good. You know what I mean? You have ancestors from way back that couldn't read or write, could have got punished for reading or writing or saying the wrong thing. And then generations later, you just want to know why the hell you can't help yourself. Well, how have they been able to progress? I mean, kept them pretty much where they're at, unless we're fortunate enough to get a college degree, be able to afford college. I don't understand how we think that, it's 2021. What are you doing? Well, you know why. People know why, whether they want to see it or believe it or not. That's just my feeling on it.
So do you think that systemic racism is definitely a big deal? Is that really a thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I lived in Richmond, Virginia area for the last 16 years. Everybody that I worked with at a moving company, there were people of color. So I had to learn from them, what they face on a daily basis, being with them and what I face with them on a daily basis. So, you can't understand unless you lived it, and you definitely can't live in a person of color's skin. So, and that's, like, you've never walked in my shoes. It's the same premise with people of color. Yeah. It's systemic racism, putting more Black men in jail, for minor marijuana charges.
Yeah.
That, now we may legalize marijuana. Oh, great. I'm glad, they spent their last 5-10 years because they sold marijuana at one point. You know what I mean? So the statistics shouldn't be the way they are. We should not be jailing more Black men in America versus anyone else when they have the smallest amount of men to pick from. You know what I mean? It's systemic. The punishment is always harsher. The profiling is there. I have very good friends in Richmond, Virginia. A cop will be coming down the street at an apartment complex that he manages and question him right away. For what reason? Because he's the only Black man on the street. You know, he had on a uniform. It's there. It's out there. It's
Yeah,
sickening. It's sad, but it's definitely out there. I've seen it.
yeah. There's a lot of people that don't, and I don't
Oh yeah,
understand that. I don't understand that.
yeah. And we're all just pinned against it, pinned against
Yeah,
each other. Some will just never believe, you know, that it exists, and others will fight to the end to try to make it stop.
yeah. I mean, this country was founded by and for rich white men.
Yes.
For many years, it was only rich white men that could vote. And
Yes.
look at the Congress and the Senate now, it's mostly still rich white men.
I'm with you 100%. I
I'm not rich,
totally.
I can talk bad about them.
Well, you know, and I say it all the time, and I say it to my friends, you know, my best friend, she's a person of color. I say it to her. I'm like, the NFL is modern day slavery. You can't tell me any different. You have owners. You have you know, owners. Okay, you know, but it, you know, modern day slavery because the majority of the players are, you know, men of color. Um, you know, but you have owners in all kinds of sports, NBA, you know, the list goes on and on
Yeah,
and on, all the way down to NASCAR. Um, but you know, rich white men in power have been running this country, and they still are. And until we get enough people in there and enough voices, you know, of all different races and all different backgrounds and women and, you know, gay and lesbian, whatever the case, we are a country full of different sprinkles.
yeah.
And so, you know, we just need to stir together and become, you know, one big giant piece of delicious pie.
You know, a lot of people thought having a black president for 8 years was going to make a big difference as far as the systemic racism and all of that, but it doesn't seem like it, does it? It doesn't seem like that made any difference. And
No, because behind the curtains, and I strongly believe this, pulling all the strings are still rich white men.
it's the billionaires of the world that control the countries, the leaders, and everything else, you know?
That's it. That's
So,
it.
yeah,
We all need to realize that. And, you know, big corporations and pharmaceutical companies and,
yeah,
you know, you name it. I don't hear of too many rich black men or too many rich black women that are running the show.
have you ever heard of Black Wall Street?
Yes, of course.
Now, that's an interesting story, isn't it? And it's a
Yes.
very, very tragic story and a very tragic part of American history.
And it needs to be
And
taught in history.
yeah, and a lot of people don't even know about it. So,
Exactly. I did know. I had to Google it.
yeah,
Uh, you know, you know, people will not self-educate themselves, and which is sad because reading is fundamental.
yeah,
Um, if our school systems would start and revamp and teach history the way history actually happened, give us more in-depth detail. I can tell you, coming from a small town um, in the country, that history book kind of went like this. Yeah, so we had slavery, there was a war, slavery was over, skip, skip. You know what I mean? There was no in-depth detail
yeah.
about slavery and Black Wall Street, and you know, it just wasn't there,
Yeah.
and it should be. I
The
definitely.
history that I know that I was taught in school, most of it was false. You know,
Yeah,
I know now that a lot of it was just not true.
yeah,
The way we treated the Native Americans, the way we treated black folks,
yeah,
and you know, you could go on and on with that.
yeah. I mean, I can remember celebrating in elementary school when we had Thanksgiving. We would take not cardboard, paper sacks, and we would cut our, you know, Indian costumes out and wear them, and we would have a feast.
Yeah,
And then I think back years later, like now, and I'm like, what? Like, why do we celebrate that? Like, what? That's crazy. But here we go. It's the way history was taught to us.
yeah, yeah. So where do you see yourself 5 years from now, Kimmy?
I hope in 5 years, let's see, that'll put me at, okay. Yeah. In 5 years, I hope to have quadrupled my following. Um, Still doing what I'm doing as long as I'm making people happy and making money and still have the um, ability and God willing, I'm able to continue my career, then that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to take it on out till I retire. And, had I found it 10 years ago, I'd probably be 10 steps closer than what I am today.
Well, is there anything else you want people to know about you before we close? Any other things you
um,
want to say to the world?
yeah, I'm just a,
Announce that you're going to run for president in 2024 or whatever?
no, I don't think we'll be doing that. I don't think we'll do anything political. No, just my slogan is now, and I just recently took this up, is that I'm just an ordinary mom who does extraordinary things. And the extraordinary things I do is in my career. But I put effort into it. It's liked, it's not liked, it's loved enough that it makes me money. And I really just don't care what people think about it. But I'm just as real as the next mom next door.
Yes,
So,
you are. I've enjoyed talking to you. Do you want
thank
to tell
you.
people how to find you online?
Yeah, you can find me pretty much. You can find me on Twitter. It's at Kimmy the MILF Mommy. Instagram at Kimmy the MILF Mommy. ManyVids, Pornhub, Fan Central. It's all at Kimmy the MILF Mommy, and that's the way to find me.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much for talking to me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
I will send you a link to this so you can also download it, do what you want with it. And
Okay.
I'll put it on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And hopefully you'll reach the world and maybe even change the world. Who knows?
Oh, one person at a time, I think.
Very good. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Kenny.
so much.
Have yourself a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.